by your mama in Willamette and put them. No, because I saved them. My aunt, now this belonged to my aunts, and my dad had it. It's the 3rd grade news from East Flat Rock School, March 1929. And they all wrote little poems. And I could be wrong, Suzanne, you're going to have to glance through, but if I remember right, I took Velma's and your mom's out, put them in a special place and saved them because I didn't want to mix up with the other. Okay?
It's okay.
And I didn't have time to look through that separate place. So you may pass that around and look at it. This is a list of the principals. You can go that way with that one. This is Mr. Ernest Justice. Where's Bob? I've got him in the center. It says Mr. Ernest Justice Center became Flat Rock principal with Mrs. Ralph Jones, wife of principal of East Flat Rock after Miss Stedman. And she's the lady behind Mr. Justice with a coat with fur collar. That's what Dad read.
I can see that.
This is just, this is it from East Flat Rock Baptist Church, but later on I'm going to talk about Edith and Nellie Hart, who were original teachers in the East Flat Rock community from 1901, and they actually were still teaching in 1956, 57, 58, when we were in the 1st grade. So that's how long they were teachers. They never married, they never had children, and they taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the community. They taught my grandmother, my father, my mother, and me. And my nephew. Nothing, maybe. Anyway, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure when they retired. But there was a plaque put up in their honor at East Flat Rock Baptist Church, and this is a little newspaper clipping on that.
We toured there.
This is the class of 1933 from the Baker Barber collection of East Flat Rock High School. Don't know if one of our family members was in the class of 1933 or not, Suzanne. You're going to have to look at it. This school was built in 1923 and was historically renovated with the help of Preservation North Carolina. So members of the community, rather than the school board closed it down, and rather than have it destroyed, the East Flat Rock Community Club and other members of the community got together, started writing, people all over the nation that may have went to this school. We started publishing lots of stories in the newspaper, getting people to write letters to the editor, and with the help of Preservation North Carolina, they managed to secure a grant to have it saved. This school is listed on the National Register of Historic Places because the company that came in and did the preservation efforts made sure that they could preserve it correctly enough to be on that National Register of Historic Places. Then the company that bought it, which helped with the restoration and paid for a lot of the restoration, and turned it into senior apartments. You have to be, what is the age? I think you've got to be over the age of 51 or 55 or something like that to have an apartment in here unless you're disabled. So this building not only preserves a historic part of Henderson County, it also is a useful thing for Henderson County in giving us senior housing for some of our low-income seniors and our disabled people, and it gives a wonderful use to our community. I don't understand, and this is my personal opinion, why other communities didn't do the same with their historic schools, why these schools and other buildings can't be preserved and put to a useful production.
Here, here.
The community. And if they could do it here, they can do it at Valley Hill, they could do it at Tuxedo, they could do it at all of these other schools, and I don't understand why they aren't.
Well said.
And I wanted to show you an example of one that was done correctly.
Jennie, when was that?
1990s is when they started, 92. Well, the last class that was here, my nephew was John, was in that last group of kids here. And the teachers, and is Mrs. Dahlbeck here? Keith Dahlbeck and his wife? They were here. I don't know where they're at. But she was one of those teachers that was one of the last teachers here. Those teachers really worked hard and put those kids on a project to go out into the community and write down all the stories from all these people. I know they interviewed Ernest. And they went out and did all these interviews. They interviewed my grandmother and they interviewed lots of my family members, and they put together a booklet of all these memories. They collected everything people would give them to collect, and they put it all together in a big book, and that was one of the things that they presented to Preservation North Carolina. So the kids in this school in 1992 did a lot of work in that historical preservation effort. These were young kids. I say they started 3rd or 4th grade up through the 6th grade, did that work for a couple of years with the help of the teachers and principals. At first, this was a consolidated school, 1st grade through high school. In fall 1934, the high school students began attending Flat Rock High School, which we were just at. The school was then an elementary school until 1992. And before we leave on the next trip, before she starts the tour, because I may not have everybody here at the same time, you passed East Flat Rock Methodist Church. It's that old looking brick church on the far corner. That was established in 1898. In 1910, the church was built, and the wooden church was brick veneered in 1950. So the wooden church is behind that brick veneer that you see that was built in 1910. And Suzanne and I's grandfather and great uncle and Bob the Justice, part of the Justice Jones, built that church. They also built this school, and they also built all those buildings that we're going to be talking about in East Flat Rock. Additions and renovations have been added to that Methodist church. Recently, the Methodist diocese, closed the church because they said the attendance wasn't enough. They closed it, and they said all those people had to go to Mills River, which caused a big commotion. And so they appealed, and Mills River helped them establish a mission church of a church that had been there since 1898. And they had to rename it Hope United Methodist Church. But that is the original East Flat Rock Methodist Church from 1898. Also, if you're standing this way, across the street to the right, at the corner of the red light, where there's kind of nothing there now, maybe an old house or something, that used to be a store, one of those old-timey country penny stores. So all the kids, when they'd get out of school, would go right across the street and get candy. It was right there across the corner. In 1903, they first started the very first school in East Flat Rock. And in 1908, it opened in a house near the mill, which we're going to look at later today. And then kids above the 2nd grade from the 3rd grade up had to walk to Flat Rock, where we just were. It was in 1914 they built a school with 2 rooms with Miss Nellie Hart and Miss Edith Hart as teachers. And from 1915, they were still walking to Flat Rock. 1918, they had 240 students, and that's when the school system decided to build him a school. So the school was completed in 1923. And I've got a chronology of the history that I'll try to write up and get on the web. And I've got some things being passed around. And so she should be starting the tour here in a minute if we're ready. Is she out there? From here, when we leave this tour, you're going to turn left at the red light. You're going to drive down past GE. You're going to turn left on Oak Grove Road, and we'll stop at Oak Grove Baptist.
The gymnasium, there's now 3 apartments in the gymnasium, all 1 bedroom, 1 bath. All the classrooms down here have become apartments. This two classrooms here have become one large 1,366 square foot apartment. It's huge. It still has the high ceilings, except along the hallways, they have lowered the ceilings because they put all new ductwork, all new electric, all new plumbing, so they had to have some place to put that. But the living rooms and bedrooms all still have the high ceilings. So we'll start down here. This is the entrance to the gymnasium. Like I said, it was three apartments.
You know that extra building?
East side of the hall.
That's what our second one, but I'm
This was the boys' restroom, which is now our elevator. We have an elevator.
pictures, and no historical law.
Cross is that country?
I don't know. Don't know a single one of them myself.
Really neat, really neat.
This was Miss Johnson's room, Pete's mama. This was her room.
Okay.
Pete Johnson's mother taught in this room.
Pete Johnson's mother. Holy cow.
I have someone that's a school teacher. Is there any place to get names of old school teachers from the 50s?
I got a lot of them.
Ooh.
And is this your apartment now?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How gracious of you. We appreciate it. I just think it's a wonderful idea.
I think it is. Yes.
It is. What a wonderful use of the old building.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah. My mother and her sisters went to school here. Way
did
back. Yeah, way back in the 30s.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very kind of you. We appreciate it. Yep.
Stomp through.
I've got a question.